Hello everyone! Today I'd like to take a look at the new Guardian, Necromancer, and Mesmer Elite specs coming with Guild Wars 2's expansion, End of Dragons. This is all from a world vs. world perspective, and I'll do one of these for each beta weekend leading up to and following the expansion release. So if you like what you see, hit subscribe. Let's start off with the Willbender. So this clip is with Wanderer's Gear and Trooper runes. You can see I didn't take Vanguard tactics, so unfortunately no resistance. Which kind of allows weakness to neuter my bomb, but overall, good utility, good mobility, good self-sustain, a great disengage potential. Really like the burst 2 on your F3 skill. You can see that guy just exploded by being next to me. The constant healing from Pure of Heart is also really noticeable for this clip. Next up we have a more offensive version with Berserkers and Marauder's Gear. Sword Torch offers another Shadow Step for resistance and more AoE output. I think Willbender in World vs. World is going to be all about hitting as frequently as possible so you can trigger your Virtue passives. Any pulsing AoEs, multi-hit skills, those are all going to be really favored. Things like Sigils of Fire are going to be especially nice on every weapon set. Here we have some clips of Writ of Persistence, giving you those big symbols. Makes it much easier to land your virtues, allows you to keep ticking more frequently. Really great on Sword and Scepter in particular, just because they have such low cooldowns. So what makes all of this work is Shattered Aegis. You use your F3, you then hit 5 targets, you gain a stack of Aegis and a stack of Stability. The Aegis blocks an attack, which heals you, grants you Resolution and Fury to cover up your stab, and then explodes to hit 5 targets, which then procs another Aegis, which then explodes to hit 5 targets, proccing another Aegis. It's this nice little positive feedback loop. So coupled with that, we have great mobility, we have great self-healing, potentially great cleansing. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Willbender going forwards. In this clip, we have me against I don't know, like 5 or 6 people here. No stun break, but you can see that as soon as you pop your F3 skill, it doesn't even matter if you have cleanses or stun breaks or whatever. Yeah, lots of outgoing healing, lots of outgoing damage. And last up, we have some clips with Valor. So Tenacious Defense reduces the cooldown of your F3 by 1 second each time Aegis you apply blocks an attack. This has a lot of potential in Zerg fights by allowing you to reset the cooldown of F3 using your F3 itself, using Mace 3, using Shield 4, and using Advance, all of which can bring the cooldown down by 5 seconds each, and your F3 can reduce it by 30 or 40 seconds pretty consistently. The issue with Valor is that it does make you more reliant on supports. You can see in these clips that I'm not getting a whole lot of cleansing, I'm not getting a whole lot of healing. So as soon as my dodges run out and my cooldowns run out, that's pretty much that. Yeah. So we're going to start off first with the Willbender. Overall, it feels okay. It's a little bit on the clunky side. The power coefficients are all really low. The F1 needs to be reworked. Like there's a few things that are wrong with it that could use some love, but yeah. So first we'll look at the traits. The first one changes your F skills, your Professor Mechanic. We'll take a look at those in just a second. The Adept tier, we have Power for Power, which gives you 180 power for losing 180 toughness. This is just kind of okay. It's the best of the 3. Boon Pact decreases your boon output by 50% and gives you 17% boon duration. This is just absolute garbage, especially on a Guardian, a class that is known for its ability to share boons. A lot of the class actually revolves around its boon sharing, so I feel like if they want to fix this, they're probably going to have to change it so that incoming boon duration is increased while outgoing boon duration is decreased. I think that's going to be a better way to go with it. And the last one down here, similarly, just poorly conceptualized. Conceited Curate, you gain 240 healing power, and you heal others for 33% less. Again, this would make a lot more sense with a you heal yourself 30% more kind of deal, but we'll see where that goes. We have Righteous Sprint. You get swiftness on using any of your F skills, and you get 25% move speed. This is again kind of trash. I'd like to see vigor instead of swiftness, but I don't know. Yeah, we have Vanguard Tactics. This one's pretty good. This is probably one of the best skill traits on Willbender. So activating your F3 gives you protection and resolution. So whenever you pop your F3 skill, you get protection and resolution. Every shadow step gives you resistance, that's actually pretty worthwhile. This is with, how much boon duration do I have? Let's see. Yeah, so 43% boon duration right now. So this is actually a 3-second base duration, which is okay. It's nice to have that resistance on every shadow step, especially if you're on a power DPS class, since that'll stop weakness and blind and cripple and slow and shit from affecting you. Here we have Holy Reckoning, damage increase of 33% on your Willbender's Flames, and each time that they hit a target, you heal for 278. This is good in theory, but the base damage and the power coefficient for all of the Willbender's Flames are so low that this is just not worthwhile right now. Unless we were to increase it considerably, this would still not be worth taking. And Restorative Virtues, kind of a cool idea. Whenever you use one of your F skills, it resets the cooldown if you switch off of that virtue before it's fully charged. So if you have 8 seconds left on your F1 cooldown, and then you use your F2, it'll recharge this by 8 seconds. So kind of neat, kind of useless. Like, that's really only going to get you more mobility, maybe, if you were trying to run away from other people at the expense of burning all of your virtues. I don't really know what they were going for with this trait. Lethal Tempo gives you 3% damage for 6 seconds whenever you trigger one of your virtues' passive effects. So this is kind of nice. It's just free damage for being offensive. The more button mashy you are, the more offensive this is, the better it helps you. But 15% damage is kind of whatever. Phoenix Protocol, absolute garbage. Since you can't share out the passive effects, this is only personal alacrity at the cost of your best healing skill. Yeah, I don't know what they were going for with this, or why you would need single target alacrity on Willbender. Tyrant's Momentum gives you an extra 2% per stack of Lethal Tempo, so an extra 10% total, which brings you up to 25% just by staying active. And Deathless Courage, which reduces the passive cooldown from 6 seconds to 4 seconds on your F3 skill, and then each kill while in that mode gives you an extra 1 second duration. So kind of nice to have. It's a great skill. The best part about it is that you can't be downed while it's active. So this is fairly useful for World vs. World. This one's also pretty useful for World vs. World. Phoenix Protocol, you'll never see use for this. This whole trait set needs to be reworked into something that's usable, and the same for this. Like, they're just far too punishing, and the effects on these are just, I don't know, questionable at best. Let's see, taking a look at the profession mechanics here. So on using each of these skills, you get a dash on the first two, or you get a teleport on the third. Kind of nice to have, but yeah. So you summon these Willbender Flames at the location where you end. So let's see, we'll hit F1. Oh, I guess it doesn't even generate the flames unless you hit a target. That's terrible. I'll show you here with 2. So use your 2, it creates Willbender's Flames. Every time that you hit a target while your passive effect is up, so I think they each last for 6 seconds. Yeah, they each last for 6 seconds. Unless traded, they last for 8. So let's see here. You use your Rushing Justice, right? You hit a target, you get the Justice passive effect, and then every 5th attack after that, you burn for 1.5 seconds. I can't see this even seeing use in, like, PvE. It's definitely not going to see use in World vs. World. It's just flat out worse than any of the other Guardian specs, since it stops you from using Permeating Wrath. Other than that, this just has very poor damage. It's like, there's no real reason to use this. Your F2 skill can actually be a decent heal. This heals for 728 every 5th attack, so if you were to drop like 10 attacks, you're healing for 1400. You drop 30 attacks in like a couple seconds. That's going to be, what, 4.5k heal? Not bad, right? In World vs. World, you can trigger these pretty often. That's kind of the nice thing about World vs. World. There's so many targets that you can trigger these virtues quickly and effectively, which is going to make it very difficult for them to balance in their current iterations. You'll see in the videos. Crashing Courage gives you Aegis and stability every 5th attack. So, kind of nice. This is a great way to get your personal stability. It's a great way to get personal Aegis, especially if you're running traits that are beneficial with that, like Shattered Aegis or Pure of Heart. What's particularly nice with this is Shattered Aegis. So you use your F3 skill, you generate 5 hits, it gives you a stack of Aegis. If you're in melee range of 5 targets and somebody hits you, that Aegis explodes, deals damage to 5 targets, gives you another stack of Aegis. So as long as you have melee targets, at least 5 melee targets that are standing on top of a bunch of pulsing AoEs, you can just set this off eternally. It's in a positive feedback loop. It'll just continuously vomit out damage, continuously give you self-healing. Really strong effect to have. But really, like, that's the only trait interaction that's worth a damn on Willbender right now. The damage coefficients are just too low across the board, really. Taking a look at the weapon that comes with it, we have Sword, right? Offhand Sword. Cool idea and concept. Again, poor execution. The 4 skill here, it has a range of 130. It's got a 15-second cooldown, a 3/4 second cast time, so even if you do hit a target with this, and it follows up with those 2 additional strikes, so even if you were to land this, it does very poor damage, like less than 2k per hit. That's pathetic to have on a skill that's so difficult to land. So either I think this should just be reworked entirely, because there's no reason to use this over your auto attack for most weapon sets. The 5 skill is actually pretty cool. It's a 500 range dash, and then you teleport to another target, which I think is another like 400 or 500 range. So not bad at all. It gives 3 seconds of slow. It does okay damage. The cooldown's reasonable. The cast time is reasonable. It's a roll finisher. Not sure. I haven't seen that actually activate yet, but we'll see. And of course, a 1 second immobilize. This should really be increased to a 2 second immobilize, since 1 second doesn't really do much for you. I get that conceptually you're supposed to use your 5 and then 4 right afterwards, but on a mobile target, like, you'll almost never land that. Yeah, so that's the weapon skills. Not particularly interesting, but kind of neat. Okay, let's take a look at some of these skills. First up for the heal, we have Reversal of Fortune. And what this does is if you are attacked during that 1 second window, you heal for 4k and the attack is negated. If you are not attacked, you only heal for 2k every 20 seconds. It's got 1 charge on it, 2 charges. Yeah, 2 charges on it. This is what it looks like. So, kind of neat. This is kind of garbage right now. It's like if Full Counter and AED had a baby, and all of the worst parts of both of those skills were put into this. This is just going to need massive reworks in general. The heal is very low. It's very buggy. A 1 second window is not very long, especially for that 20 second cooldown. Like, you could run any other heal and have better results than this currently. On the utility skills, we have Whirling Light. This is actually pretty good for World vs. World. Gives you 20 targets hit every 20 seconds, which is very respectable. This could be used to trigger your virtues a little bit quicker. It has okay damage. It has 2 seconds of burning, 1.5 seconds of weakness, for 6 seconds total of weakness. This is actually a pretty good skill. It's well balanced right now, but yeah, we'll see where they go with that. Heal Crack, totally useless. 240 range, single target stun on a 20 second cooldown. I don't know, again, what they were planning for here. Like, maybe they were hoping you would use Sword 5, then Heal Crack, then Sword 4. I don't know. Like, that would be okay, I guess, but the damage is so low, it's just not worth the payoff. We have Roiling Light. This is pretty good. 30 second cooldown is a little bit long for it. The way that this works is, let's say you get stunned, right? You use this, it blinds everybody in that area. Oh, I guess I was on a lip. But it drops you backwards, and then you can jump forwards and daze 3 targets. Or is it 3 targets? It's single target. So you can you can daze one person on the rebound here. It's nice that it's an evade. It's nice that it blinds. It rolls you backward, so fairly useful for maybe roaming, but for Zerg fighting, for small scale, you're really better off with like Stand Your Ground, which has the same cooldown and stops you from getting CC'd again. Yeah, here we go. So a little jump backwards, a little leap forward. Kind of nice. Could definitely use a cooldown reduction to 20 seconds. And then we have Flash Combo, which is a 900 range Shadow Step. Again, this one's actually pretty nice to have. 25-second cooldown's a little bit long on it. I think a 20-second would make a lot more sense. There's a little bit of a delay between casting this, hitting a target, and the extra strike damage going off. Let's see if there are any NPCs over here. Yeah. Or not. So there's a little bit of a delay when using this. Yeah, it'll jump forward, hits 5 times, and then you can shadow step back. If all 5 hit, it's just kind of okay. The damage is pretty lackluster for a skill that you have to be in melee range to hit with. Yeah, so that's all the utility skills. And the elite skill, which is Heaven's Palm, also kind of garbage. You have to be in melee range. You knock down 1 target in a second and a quarter cast time. Yeah. It's got a great animation. I can definitely say that about this. Like all of these skills have a great animation to them. They just need some numerical changes and maybe some sped up cast times. All right, next up we have the Harbinger, Necromancer's Elite. I started out with Marauder's gear. You can see the spec has great power coefficients, great mobility, it has some great CC. Unfortunately, a lot of the class kit is projectile based, including your new weapon and Harbinger Shroud 1 and 2, which are some of your best damage skills. So far, the best use for it that I can see is to stack traits that affect your Harbinger Shroud 1. So Deathly Haste gives you quickness and Shroud, which allows you to potentially hit 30 times every second. Doomfire, Unyielding Blast, Reaper's Might, Barbed Precision, Corruptor's Fervor, Vampiric Presence, and of course Cheesecake and Tormenting Runes are all very strong effects when you can hit that rapidly. You can use Harbinger Shroud 3 and 4 to get behind the other group, which kind of allows you to avoid some of the reflex, but unfortunately there is a lot of projectiles with this, so it doesn't always work out. Yeah, so here you can see they have some reflex up. I get behind them using Harbinger Shroud 4, set it up at 3, land a nice hit with 2, and then just spam the living shit out of 1. Dumping Torment, dumping Burning on all these players. 30 times a second with Torment alone gives you a whole lot of incoming healing, so I think that's going to be a very strong pick. If traded with Path of Corruption, your Harbinger Shroud 2 can strip 2 boons from each target hit. It can hit up to 30 targets. I think realistically you're not going to actually see that happen in practice, but it's an interesting effect. And Transfusion with this seems like it has a 100-degree radius, which follows the player instead of just staying at that location, and it ticks 9 times total. Okay, so here we have the Harbinger. This is the Necromancer Elite spec for the beta for End of Dragons. First off, we're going to go over the traits here. Dark Disciple. And the way that this works is 5% of your life force is converted directly into Dark Disciple. With Celestial Gear, it's a 1k heal every second. If you were to stack your vitality using Plague Doctors or Shamans, or you could get that up over 2,000, no problem at all, especially with regeneration in there. Looking at the other minor traits, we have gain increased vitality, plus 240, 2.5k health, cool. Okay, Corrupted Talent. So every 10 seconds you can reliably trigger Harbinger Shroud. You don't need to have life force. You just won't have that healing coming in. So kind of nice to have. Looking at the Adept traits, these are just extra damage. Applies poison on your Harbinger Shroud 2. Whoopee. And Vile Vials. So whoopee, vulnerability, and slow. Unfortunately, all the elixirs are kind of whoopee right now, so yeah, you can take a look at them. I'll show you what I mean. Implacable Foe, you get 1 stack of stability on entering Shroud. This should be like 2 or 3 stacks if they want to make it competitive. It's the only source of stability other than your lead elixir, so yeah, definitely need some love on these traits. Twisted Medicine, your Elixirs now give their boons to 5 targets or give their effects to 5 targets. Oh, it's only boons. Never mind. So this doesn't even stun break for 5 targets. It should be gives their effects to all targets around you. That would be more useful. But right now, they could really just combine both of these Elixir traits, make it a Grandmaster trait, and call it a day. Dark Gunslinger, your pistol skills gain reduced recharge. Again, kind of whoopee. Cascading Corruption, this gives you extra power. Its counterpart here is Doom Approaches, gives you extra condition damage. Every 3 seconds this pulses out. Torment and Weakness in a 100 radius, which is just trash. Same for this, Damage and Cripple, but it's really low damage. So the only GM trait that's really good for Harbinger right now is Deathly Haste. This is just because it gives you a way to give group quickness, which is very, very strong with Harbinger. Let's see. So I'll try and skirt over these real quick while I've got this open. Okay. I don't know if you didn't get a look at that, just replay it. The 1 skill hits in an AoE, it hits twice, gives Torment per stack per hit. Let's see, your 2 skill is kind of a rapid fire Torment and Poison if traded for it, and converts boons into conditions. What's kind of cool about that skill is that it converts boons into conditions for the first target hit by each of the projectiles. So popular belief is you want to be like right next to the enemy, use this, and it'll hit them right in front of you, right? Really, like, it's got a spread that widens up at about the 600 to 900 range. So if you're using it as boon strips, you want to wait until you're at like 600, 900 range, or you want to use drop your wells and then immediately use it afterward. Yeah, so that's a better spread right there. Let's see if I can get it a little bit closer on the next one. But yeah, so strips boons. It'll only strip boons from each target once. So if you hit 1 target 20 times, it's only going to strip 2 boons. If you hit 5 targets one time each, it'll strip 10 boons. It won't strip the same target twice. That's really all that it boils down to. Let's see if it works this time. Yeah, there we go. So fairly good spread pattern. Yeah, but cool to use. The 3 skill, mobility, damage. The 4 skill, mobility, damage. Let's see, they're pretty great. The 5 skill is going to be a 3-second float. Really strong, especially if you're going to follow it up with your 2 skill for a lot of damage on a single target, or follow it up with your 3 and 4 for more damage. You can open up with your 3 skill and then channel this. You have to wait until it casts fully before you use it. Otherwise, the effect won't trigger. Yeah, that's about it for Harbinger Shroud. Good power coefficients, good Condi coefficients. That'll probably see some pretty good use. Looking at the pistol here, we have bounces twice, applies Torment, Whoopee, Weeping Shots, applies Torment, applies Vulnerability, gives Life Force, pierces. You'll see in the videos. Kind of neat, but also kind of boring. Vile Blast is the 3 skill. This is a 1 1/4 second stun on anybody who's in a 180 radius of your target. Yeah, 900 range, gives poison, applies weakness. Super fun. See, it has a little explode animation. Yeah. The thing to notice with Harbinger is that a lot of its damage abilities, your Harbinger Shroud 1, Harbinger Shroud 2, those are both projectiles. Yeah. So those are projectiles, your pistol's a projectile, pistol 2's a projectile, 3's a projectile. Like, all of the damage that comes with this class is all projectiles, which makes it pretty much worthless for World vs. World. It's good for roaming. If you try to Zerk with it, though, and you end up running into a bunch of Reflects or Scrapper Domes or Warrior Domes, or I don't know. There's like a million ways to destroy projectiles. So unless there's a projectile rework in End of Dragons, this class won't see a whole lot of use in World vs. World. The elixirs themselves feel really clunky. They feel like they're punishing you instead of actually helping you. I'd like to see these reworked for sure. Here you gain Might, you gain Fury. This one gives you resistance and breaks stuns. This one gives you Resolution, cleanses 5 conditions. and Elixir of Anguish gives you swiftness and quickness, like 30-second cooldown, 40-second cooldown, 30 seconds, 25. Like no one's going to use these. The wells do everything better. They do more of everything. They have shorter cooldowns. They have far better offensive capabilities, far better defensive capabilities. As it stands, the elixirs need a serious rework. The only one that's actually worthwhile is Elixir of Ambition. With Celestial Gear, this has given me 8 seconds of all of the boons. It's nice that it gives all the boons, but a 75-second cooldown untraded is garbage. And you would have to take both of these traits in order to make it a 60-second cooldown and allow it to share out. Even then, it's only sharing in a 240 radius. Yeah, need some serious reworks. That's definitely not worth losing 20% of your health, right? So, alright, that's Harbinger. The ways that you can interact with this currently, anything that stacks up life force is going to be really beneficial to you. Anything that stacks condition damage or power damage is going to be really useful. Tormenting runes are like wildly broken with this spec. Everything it does applies tons of fucking torment, so everything it does heals you for a whole ton every time you use it. They're either going to have to rework some of the torment application on here, or they're going to nerf the tormenting runes, which is long overdue, so suspecting that's going to happen. But yeah, other than that, just kind of neat. The fun thing you can do with this, if you stack up just a shitload of health, like you could stack like 40k health and then trigger Lich to get another 1,000 or another 10,000 health. Your self-healing becomes pretty ridiculous. But other than that, not a whole lot in here that's really interesting. Just the tormenting runes and the health healing mechanic. And last up, we have the Mesmer's new elite spec, the Virtuoso. Great animations, not particularly unique, but everyone loves a grid Rain of Swords. This spec kind of feels like it has a lot of potential if given some unblockable access and damage numbers get tuned up. Even in full Marauders, the utility and weapon skills kind of provide lackluster damage per second. Rain of Swords provides like 1 to 2k ticks, which makes it kind of but Sword of Decimation's 3-second immobilize is pretty great on Mesmer. What really kills this right now is that all of the profession mechanics and dagger are projectiles. So any projectile hate just kills the class, which could be fixed by some access to unblockable. The damage numbers on your F skills are actually pretty great. The utility it has for the group is pretty great. You can see here some nice focus pulls into that 3-second immobilize, but by the time that I get that off, there's no way I can get enough damage out to even begin to compete with any of the real DPS classes. And since this provides no boons for the rest of the group, it makes it a bad choice for World vs. World. Okay, next up we have the Virtuoso, which uses a dagger main hand, which has pretty great animations to it, but again fails in that it doesn't have great power coefficients. I think a lot of this is going to get buffed before the release of the expansion. I'm guessing that they just lowered all the damage coefficients so that people wouldn't break things too badly for the beta weekend. Well, let's take a look at these traits. So, Psychic Blades, instead of spawning clones, you spawn blades. Those blades sit around you. I think you have to be in combat for them to show up. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, so you stack up those blades, it changes your F skills, gives you a dagger, gives you some great utility skills. Looking at these traits, we have Blade Turn Refrain. On using any of your profession mechanic skills, any of those F1s, you get Aegis for 3 seconds. Kind of neat. Good synergy with the rest of the skills in it, great for dueling. Yeah. Mental Focus, increased damage by 7% on targets under 600 range. Sweet, simple, you guys know how that works. And Jagged Mind, blade attacks have a chance to inflict bleeding on critical hits. 1 second bleeding. Ooh. It's kind of nice because all of your dagger skills are blades, so you can get these off very quickly. So you use a little bit of quickness, you start throwing these. It's a lot of extra bleeding damage that's just kind of tacked on top. But 1 second duration, kind of garbage. Blades inflict vulnerability on critical hits. Useful for really any Virtuoso. It's good for power, good for Condi. You're going to be spamming these blade skills to get best effect out of them. You might as well have that extra cover condition on each one. Here we have Duelist Reversal. Blocking or dodging an attack grants you quickness and fury. Useful to use, again, especially if you have quickness and you're just whipping these blades out, dumping a whole ton of bleeding, dumping vulnerability, what have you. Phantasmal blades. After your phantasms finish an attack, then you get 3 seconds of fury, and it throws a blade at your phantasm's current target. I found this to be fairly buggy. It might just be that World vs. World, the phantasms don't live long enough to complete their attack, so this wasn't giving me a whole lot of fury. And the blades that are thrown out can be reflected, which makes them useless. Gain Fury whenever you activate your F2, 5 seconds. Gain Expertise whenever you have Fury. Kind of bread and butter, good for Condi classes. Quiet Intensity. Fury gives you increased critical hit chance, and gain Ferocity based on your Vitality. So this makes you favor using like a Marauders build for this. Full Marauders with Eagle Runes actually gets you to 100% crit rate. Pretty nice to have. Infinite Forge gives you 3 blades, up to 3 blades. You get 1 every 3 seconds. This is the best of the GM traits right now, even though it's kind of boring. Doesn't really do a whole lot, but this will keep your blades up during combat. Psychic Riposte will give you, throws a blade at somebody whenever you dodge or block their attack. The blades are low damage. I would like to see more tied into the blade attacks, but if they did, they would have to rework some things about dagger, because let's say you hit somebody with this, or you're just spamming your auto attack on it, you put too many things on the blade attacks, now it's just nobody's got a reason to use anything but the auto attack, so we'll see what they do with it. Realistically though, you block or dodge an attack every 5 seconds, every 10 seconds, this is giving you 1 blade. This gives you one of those blades every 3 seconds and requires nothing but you being in combat. Bloodsong is just garbage. Your bleeding deals 25% more damage, kind of nice. In order to get the blades, though, you have to stack bleeding up on somebody, which is just kind of okay. You can do it quickly with this, you can do it quickly with this or this, but yeah. Right, let's take a look at these F skills. As far as roaming goes, these are wildly OP. They hit very hard. You can get 15k, 20k crits on your F1, 10 to 15 on F2, 6 to 10 on F3. F4 needs to be reworked. It seems very buggy. The block is nice, but it doesn't seem to ever last the full duration. And the attacks that go out happen at like random intervals, I guess. I'm not sure what the mechanic is behind it. I have to go stand in the middle of some golems or something. But the nice thing about these is that they will each strip a boon for each blade that's active if you are traded with Shattered Concentration. So all your Shatter skills remove a boon on hit. This can pierce and hit 5 targets, and you throw 5 of the blades if you have all 5 of them up. So actually I might even throw 6 blades. Each one can pierce 5 targets, so 25 to 30 strips on your F1. Same for F2, F3, F4. Really great about removing boons, but unfortunately they're all projectiles, as is your dagger, so these are worthless for World vs. World. The heal skill, a 30-second cooldown to heal, gives you a little bit of extra boons, removes 1 condition, kind of lackluster. This didn't feel very impactful. I would much rather have like Mirror if I'm dueling, or Ether Feast, which heals you for the additional amount depending on how many blades you have. So this is an 8.5k heal, almost a 9k heal on a 25-second cooldown versus 6 seconds and an Aegis block, or 6,000 and an Aegis block. Yeah, this will definitely need a cooldown reduction at the very least. Okay, the utility skills. This is what's actually worth bringing Virtuoso for. Rain of Swords is a range damage pulsing well, essentially. It's just like Well of Suffering. We have Psychic Force, Stun Break, Knockback, a little bit of boons. Kind of neat. Got a great animation to it. But, yeah. I really shouldn't use those knockbacks. If you're in melee range of the enemy group on a Virtuoso, you're probably playing it wrong. You want to stay at max range. This is a backline nuking kind of class. Or at least it will be once the damage coefficients are boosted up. Yeah, that's the problem with Rain of Swords right now. It only hits for like 1k, 2k. That's not going to cut it. If they're trying to give Mesmer a viable DPS class for World vs. World, they're going to have to like double the damage on this. They're probably going to have to increase the power coefficients quite a bit. Blade Renewal, 3-second invuln, creates 5 blades, but 60-second cooldown is kind of gross. I'm sure you could do some interesting things like Blade Renewal into your F4, into what is it? Something that'll reset all of your shatter skills. So you could maybe invuln for like, what, 11 seconds or so straight, which is not bad. You could definitely use this on a trollier build, but you give up so much to do it that it's like, why? Why would you do that? And the last utility skill is your Sword of Decimation. 3-second immobilize, hits 5 targets, 1200 range. This seems like the ideal skill for World vs. World. It's definitely the best thing the Virtuoso has going for it right now. And something you can do with this is if you throw out a focus pull, then cast that and immediately pull with your focus, it'll pull all of the targets from a 600 range into the center before the sword hits. This has a little bit of a aftercast, or like a delay before that sword hits the ground. So since you just pulled all those targets, it'll hit for double damage, and it immobilizes them, which allows you to set up like a Great Sword Burst, or throw a Null Field on them, or even throw Rain of Swords on them if the damage gets increased. 1,000 cuts, great damage on it. I really love the 40k hit they showed at the spec reveal. The issue with this is that it has a very long wind-up time. So it's got a 1-second cast time, and then it takes about another 1 second before it starts really hitting here. So people who are moving, which is in World vs. World everyone, they're just going to walk right out of that. It's not going to hit for nearly as hard as it should. Yeah. All right, that's about all it's got going for it right now. I'm interested to see where they develop it further, but yeah. Well, thank you everyone for watching. For more World vs. World content and overview videos for each beta test, hit subscribe.